Hey friends, welcome back to Canadian Cutting Edge, and today we're taking a look at a knife from TwoSun and RIHE design. This is the TS425. Now this is a big folder. We've got a thumb stud deployment, drop point blade. This is, I think it's supposed to be a heavy duty knife, and that's the main thing I'm going to talk about on this knife. Is it a heavy duty knife or is it not a heavy duty knife? Now, some people are just going to say, no, it's not because it's a liner lock. I'm not sure about that. I think liner locks can be heavy duty. I don't think, ultra duty. Like, I think there's something above heavy duty in the way I look at things. I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong, but that's how I sort of have it. I've got these light knives, and I've got EDC, medium duty, heavy duty, ultra duty. That's just sort of a rough kind of thing, and it changes and things. I'm just thinking this is a pretty stout knife for a lot of good uses, but is it for as tough a use as it looks like it should be? Maybe that's the best way to say it. Is this, a big tough knife, as tough as it looks like it is? Because it does have that look. It's designed to look like a big tough knife. And that's what we're going to look at today. Like I said, liner lock, G10. We've got steel, full steel liners. We've got Bowler K110 steel, which is a sort of a high-grade D2 steel. And let's dive right in, and we'll take a good look at it. Before we get into those details, let's do the price and availability. First, availability. This knife, I only ever saw it through White Mountain Knives, either through their whitemountainKnives.com store or through their eBay store. And now it is out of stock. It's not available right now, and it only comes in this OD green satin finish. We've got sort of a stone wash, gray wash. I'll call that a fuller. It's not a traditional type of fuller. It's got crisp, sharp edges on the inside of there and everything, but that's sort of what it is. A little weight reduction, a little bit of style points. Yeah, but the price, it's not an expensive knife. This thing is listed at White Mountain Knives for $45, $44.99 US for this thing. And of course, you save 10% at White Mountain Knives with coupon code CCE on everything you buy there. And yeah, so that means this is $40.50 US, which is right now, late October 2024, about $56 Canadian. That's very appealing. So the price is appealing. Unfortunately, it's not available right now. Like I said, end of October 2024. Will it be available again? I hope so. If I thought it was not going to be available again, I probably wouldn't even do this review, because why review something that people can't buy, right? So hopefully it becomes available again. Look at this. We've got a drop point, like I said, D2. This is thick. It's over 1/8 of an inch thick, and we'll do the full measurement list later on. We've got deployment either by these thumb studs or into that fuller, because like I said, it's crisp, so your finger can catch in there and flick it open that way if you want to. Not a problem. So you can do your old slow roll if you want to, using the fuller, using the thumb stud, or of course, like that. So yeah, pretty good. The blade shape, we got a high flat grind up to the bottom of this fuller. Pretty good. It's about 1 inch. And it comes down to a thin edge. It's not super thin. It's a good working knife thickness right there. What is it? 19 thou is the average. So yeah, that's thin enough to still be slicey, thick enough to still be quite durable. Very, very happy with that. There's a lot of good going on here. Badging, yeah, I wish they would have found some place. Maybe that TwoSun should have been right there, like put in after and put in that fuller. I don't like badging on a main bevel. I just don't, but it's not terribly big. It's not too in your face. And on this side, you got RIHE design 420, TS425 and K110 written in there. Again, I think that'd be great putting that in that fuller. There you go. Yeah, drop points, not a stabby knife. Slicey, cutty, yes. And it passed my slicing and cutting tests very easily. Not a problem at all. It's a good steel, decently sharpened at the factory. Well, my battery died. Hopefully I didn't lose too much of that. I thought I checked my batteries before I started. So it might be an awkward cut there between that. I pretty much like that. I like that a lot. The blade's done very well. The thumb studs, they are soft thumb studs in the sense that they're not super grippy. There's no hard edges. They're dimpled on either side. They're big and they're well placed and they work quite well. It's easy to get your thumb behind there and deploy that. Just works really well. Right-handed, left-handed. It's a fairly ambidextrous knife, although the pocket clip is right side only on this thing. But deployment works really well. It's not lockup. Let's talk about that. Yeah, lockup's not bad. No blade play, side to side, up and down. Good. Lockup engagement is just exactly what I like it to be on a brand new knife. But to disengage the lock, there's enough room in there to get your thumb into and onto this little jimping, a little bit of a chamfer on there. Easy to get there, push it over, close the knife. Left-handed, I found it works just fine as well. Not a problem, at least not for me. Otherwise, typical TwoSun hardware right here, T8 screw right there. It didn't come loose during my use or anything, my testing. Sometimes TwoSuns do that. You just stick something in there. I use Vibratite VC3 to keep the threads, the screws from unthreading on themselves. That's my preferred thing. Flat slab G10 on the handle. It's got chamfers milled up here and here, slightly rounded up here. This transition, we've got a forward grip. You've got your standard grip back here. So my thumb rides up onto this riser on the blade. Very secure, there's no jimping. If I want the forward grip, then it comes over and it's very comfortable there. This shape on the spine here, the size and everything works really well. This seems a little thick. I would have preferred some extra chamfering right here just to round over for the finger. My finger does fit in there. That's a very minor complaint. Somebody with medium-sized men's hands or smaller might find that too wide and too abrupt. They're really going to want a bit of a chamfer on there, like something like this, but just right there would have been preferred, but quite good. If you're using it for an extended period of time, if I used it for an extended period of time, I did find that those edges there were a little bit, creating a little bit of hot spot on my finger, for where that grips right there and right there. I'm pointing with my fingernail, so yeah, not a big deal. The handles, the liner's inset, so the handle scales, they didn't have any transition by the liners that was tough or rough or hard or sharp or anything. It's quite nicely done. G10 backspacer. I will take this apart and see if you can just take the backspacer out completely if you want to. It would make a reverse grip more comfortable, because right now the reverse grip is not comfortable because that's sticking out. But if you like lanyards, that's a very good spot to put a lanyard. That's just really well done. Big hole, you can put thick paracord through there, indeed, and it'll hold on well. T8 screws all over the place here, just like I like to have, and they're flush screws. Looks really nice. The texture on the G10 is quite good. This extra choil back here for your pinky finger really does help give you extra grip when you're holding it back here, and maybe you're doing some light chopping and stuff. It's a liner lock. It's not designed for heavy duty chopping or anything. It's not a fixed blade knife. It doesn't even come close to being a fixed blade knife, and it shouldn't have to. Pocket clip is your very typical TwoSun low cost pocket clip. You've seen this thing 100 times, and let me just show it going into a pocket here, and just like it always does, TwoSun pocket clip. And if you've not seen a TwoSun knife before, you've been living under a rock. You're supposed to live on a rock. It's called Earth. Wow, what a sense of humor. I should get paid extra for that. Not. Yeah, good. Like I said, lock up, everything's good. Detent, it really holds. You heard that. And that detent holds quite well. This is a heavy blade. It's a big chunk of steel, so you need a stronger detent because you don't want that thing coming the blade coming open when you are not expecting it to be coming open. So that's good, but the detent's not so strong that it's a problem to deploy the knife. So quite good. Heavy blade, so it's very drop shutty. If you just put it far enough that it's going to close, you just have to tilt it a little bit, and it wants to close, and then it closes. Yeah, little chamfer on the edges here. Everything's got nice little touches. You got some more of that stonewash finish on the spine that you have inside that fuller. Everything else, like I said, is that nice satin finish. It really feels like a heavy-duty knife. It's got the weight and everything to it as well. So before we take it apart this time, let's do all those measurements. The weight of this knife, 83 grams. No, it isn't. No, it isn't. It says 83 grams, 2.93 ounces. I think I got my wrong piece of paper here. I'll be right back. It's a good thing you didn't believe me when I said that, because it's really 164 grams, pretty much double that first number. 5.8 ounces. So this is almost 6 ounces of a knife here. Yeah, it's a heavy knife. It's a bigger knife. Sharpness from the factory, 175 best. So better than a lot of knives that I've been reviewing lately. So that explains one of the reasons why I liked it so much. But that thinness behind the grind, like I said, 0.49 millimeters, 19 thousandths of an inch along that edge, just behind that apex bevel right there, that sharpened bevel. That's good, and it's pretty consistent along the length for that. So happy with that. The blade depth this way, the widest point is right here where my fingertips are. 40.3 millimeters, 1.59 inches. The handle length, or the blade length, sorry, I missed that. The blade length here, 97.3 millimeters, 3.83 inches. So yeah, well over 3.5 inches, but not quite 4. So that's good. The handle length this way, including the back spacer with the lanyard hole, because that sticks out further, 128.6 millimeters, 5.06 inches. The grip area, and I think I measured it, yes, I measured it here between my thumbnails. That's about 11.5 centimeters, 4.5 inches plus. Let me just double check that. Where's my... Oh, I took my ruler upstairs. I'll have to double check that because I measured this a couple days ago, and I might have, yeah, well, we'll just have to see. I'll just put a still picture right here so you can see exactly what it is. Next is the handle thickness on the G10 right here, not like on the screws or anything that stick a little bit. 13.8 millimeters, 0.544, so just a tiny bit over half an inch, not bad. The handle depth within the grip area, this spot and this spot are very close to the same, 30.8 millimeters, 1.21 inches. And when the knife is closed, how much real estate does this take up in your pocket? And it's biggest right about here. That is 42.3 millimeters, 1.66 inches. And the total length is about 226 millimeters, 8.9 inches. And now let's take the thing apart and we'll show you how it's constructed. That's a T6. That's not useful at all. Here's my T8. By the way, these guys, Skiffworks, they've got their blue anodized, finger bit. I don't know why I forgot the name of this finger bit. You can buy it with or without bits. That's available now again. If you like the blue anodization, you can save some money. Watch my video on this. I've got a coupon for that, a coupon code down below. You can get yourself these and anything else from Skiffworks that they have other than their knives that Skiff Blades makes. So if you're interested in getting something from them, go for it. See, sometimes the short bit's not quite enough, and so I am glad that I also have longer ones, and that's useful for these screws here where, the pocket clip is just a little bit in the way. And, then you can turn it on the shaft too once it's loose, just to finish taking these apart. And undo the lock here so we can take this off. Oh, is one of those still holding a tiny bit? A couple turns of a thread. There we go. So these screws, no thread locker anywhere, done really well. TwoSun's been making high quality screws for a long time. Here's the lock bar, a little bit of skeletonizing here, a little bit of a recess cut in there for the ball bearings. And the spring tension's good, ceramic ball bearing there, and ceramic ball bearings here. Now there's not an awful lot in there. There's 8 ball bearings in there. Most knives in 2024 are coming out with 9 ball bearings or more. So this is kind of the minimal, but it's a nice ceramic ball bearing. Works well, holds well on there. And D-shaped pivot pin with a D-shaped hole right there. And you can see it right under there. Some lubrication in there still. From the factory, TwoSun knives have a lot of lubrication generally. Take this off and yeah, there's lubrication back in there too. I don't think you really need lubrication on that back spacer. So you need it because there's not a standoff step. If you put this on here, now all the pressure, if you're putting this together, is going to be right on the screws and on this thin G10 that's in between like that. There's a little step down there on the G10. So if you really don't like this, you can always, sand off this hole. Then you've got no lanyard option though. So you can do that if you want to. A little more skeletonizing here. There you go. Now there's something I don't like. There's something I don't like quite a lot on this knife. And this is the main question that I started off with in this video about, is this as heavy duty as it looks like it should be? And let's put a ball bearing in there just for demonstrating. And the main thing I don't like is this notch that's right in here. It comes right in for the stop pin. That means you've got just this bit of steel where this pivot pin is for strength. I'm not an engineer. I'm not a structural kind of, or dynamic forces kind of engineer. I just think the stop pin should be back up here. Because they didn't need this area right here. It's under your thumb anyways when the knife is open, and it is needed here though from this design. So they almost couldn't do it too much different than they did for all the things that they were trying to accomplish. But I'm not so sure that I like this. I've mentioned this on other videos before. When the stop pin is so close to the pivot pin, does that make it lighter duty? Now, I don't honestly know the answer to that. I know my feeling. My feeling is that it's not as strong as it would be if the stop pin was, further out. If the stop pin was up here, for example. If the stop pin was there, would that make it a stronger knife, especially in terms of lateral forces? And by that I mean the forces when you're using a knife as a pry bar, and people do, especially when the knife looks more like a heavy duty knife, like this thick spine, this full thickness all the way up to there. Makes for a very strong tip. People will pry with knives like this. They just will. It's inevitable. And that puts a lot of force right here. And now you've got less steel from that edge of the hole to where it's gone on over half of that hole. This half of that circle, isn't a lot of steel right here. Is it enough steel? Probably, but I don't know that as a fact. I just have the feeling that maybe it's not quite enough. Maybe I'd like a little bit more. I just wiped some of that residue off. You can see a little bit of a detent ramp there. I actually like detent ramps. Some guys don't, some guys do, I do. So that's the main question right there. Is that okay? What do you think? Let me know in the comments down below. Now, I'm going to put this thing back together again, and I'll give you my final thoughts on this thing. Just before I go over my summary, a couple things people might be asking. Balance point is right there. So that's balanced. Not bad. That's right where your index finger rests when you've got your normal grip. So that's a good thing. And yeah, alignment, very typical for even budget knives these days. Right down the middle, not a problem at all. So those things. Summary of what I think of this knife. Is it a heavy duty knife? I still don't know the answer to that. It worked just fine for my testing. I don't do abusive testing. I don't do destructive testing. Two main reasons. It's a nice new knife. Why would I destroy it? Well, to learn something, yeah, that is valid. It's just I don't do that. And the other big reason is I can't afford to destroy knives. You know, I buy almost all the knives I review. There's a few that I get occasionally, but yeah, I bought this, paid not quite full price. I do get a little bit of a discount from White Mountain Knives as a reviewer, and you get 10% off with my code CCE. So it's a mutual relationship there. So that's another reason why I don't destroy knives. I have to sell almost everything that I buy so that I can afford to buy more, because nobody's going to buy this knife off me at full retail. Well, somebody might if it's no longer available, but if this knife was still easily available, you know, who's going to buy it from me at full retail? Maybe a Canadian, because it's getting harder and harder to get locking folding knives into Canada. So yeah, but still, I sell them at the price I paid for them, basically. What do I think of it? It's okay. It's not great. I don't mind the D2 on this bigger, heavier duty knife. I tend not to like, you know, sort of normal use EDC knives in a carbon steel. In this case, it's not super objectionable. I'd still prefer a good stainless steel over, you know, K110 or, you know, regular D2. But it's nice. It's quite nice. It's a little bit heavy. So there has to be a case use for this. I would not wear this, you know, or put this in my pocket and wear it. It's not a fashion accessory. I would not carry this, you know, when I'm going to the city or something. It's a good knife. It's okay. For the price, it's actually even more appealing because it's not a bad price at all. $40.50 US for this with my discount. Yeah. So I wish they would have made it with more colorways and stuff. I don't know how long it took White Mountain Knives to sell out from the time they had it. Don't know if they're going to bring it back. But if you do want it, go to White Mountain Knives. They've got a Notify Me link on the page. I'll leave the link for this down below. And you can put your email address in there. And the more and more people that want to buy it, like that's what the Notify Me basically is saying, the more likely it is that they'll get them back in stock if they're still being made at TwoSun. So yeah, go ahead and do that if you think you might want one of these. And that's it. Thanks for watching. I do appreciate it. Please leave a comment. And remember, friends, always cut towards your chum, not your thumb.